This is Trish MacGregor with the March Star Power Astrology forecast. Thank you for joining. All right, March is impacted by Mercury retro in Pisces until the 20th. There's also a lunar eclipse in Virgo on the 3rd, and even the new moon in Pisces on the 18th occurs during Mercury's retrograde. So the opportunities it could bring won't occur until after the retro ends. Here are the other dates to watch for this month. March 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus in Taurus. On the 5th, the Sun in Pisces trines Jupiter in Cancer. March 9th or 10th, depending on whether you live in Eastern or Pacific time, Venus in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. On the 18th, there's a new moon in Pisces. Finally, on the 20th, Mercury turns direct. On the 21st, Mars in Pisces trines Jupiter in Cancer. On the 28th is the No Kings protest. More on that under each sign. Now let's take a look at how these aspects play out in each sign. Aries. The lunar eclipse in Virgo on the 3rd is conjunct the part of fortune, your 6th house. These eclipses tend to trigger us emotionally and often bring about dramatic change through endings. With this one, Aries, something in your daily work life may be drawing to a close, but thanks to to the part of fortune, it's to your benefit. On the 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus in Taurus. It looks like something you're doing behind the scenes, a side gig perhaps, brings in money. It's unexpected, and that makes it even better. The 5th brings a welcome trine between the Sun in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. In the midst of a Mercury retro, enjoy this positive aspect that unites your 12th and 4th houses. It's a good day to spend with family or friends that are like family. So do something you enjoy and do it in defiance of this retro. The 9th ushers in a sextile between Venus in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius. It's time to pay close attention to your network and brand. A newsletter, a lengthy email, something that outlines goals and plans for the year ahead. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th is sextiled by Uranus and Taurus. The new opportunities that surface with the new moon may be delayed because of Mercury antics, but these can include anything that enables you to work behind the scenes in a capacity that makes you money. They occur unexpectedly, but because of the retro, do your research and make sure they aren't scams. The 20th is for celebrating. Mercury turns direct at 3:33 p.m. Eastern and 12:33 p.m. Pacific. Now life can move forward again without so much miscommunication. The 21st brings a beautiful trine free of the Merc retro. This is between Mars in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. Your intuition, particularly about your family, expands and fuels positive changes at home. On the 28th, Indivisibles and other groups are holding a No Kings protest day. Check your area for the location. The last one in October brought out 7 million people, and that was before ICE had committed 2 murders in Minneapolis. So let's make this protest 50 million. Taurus. The lunar eclipse in Virgo on the 3rd occurs in your 5th house of creativity, kids, romance, and what you do for fun and enjoyment. If you're completing a creative endeavor for a client or employer, you may be feeling emotional about it, as in, what's next? Or an adult child may be leaving home for college or a new job, or it's possible that a romantic relationship is going in a new direction. The sextile on the 4th is between Venus in Pisces and Uranus in your sign. Your network or brand may take off suddenly, so now you have an opportunity to capitalize on it. Come up with a plan, strategy, and get busy implementing it after Mercury turns retrograde or direct on the 20th. The trine on the 5th is between the Sun in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. It also complements your network brand, and it's all about communication. Touch base with your network today through a newsletter that details your plans for the new year concerning expansion, membership fees, the minutiae. On the 9th, Venus in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. With Pluto in your career area, you may be considering changing how you earn your living. Venus in your 12th house is urging you forward to make a decision and promises you won't regret it. However, Mercury is retro until March 20th, so don't make any changes until after it turns direct. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th takes place in your 11th house of wishes and dreams, networks, your brand. So that's where the new opportunity should surface. But with Mercury still retro, be sure to do your research with anything that surfaces to make sure it's not a scam. Possibilities: new memberships, a new payment scale for the information you provide, a new angle. Finally, on the 20th, Mercury turns direct in Pisces. On the 21st, Mars in Pisces trines Jupiter in Cancer. Now communication has an unimpeded path toward your goal. On the 28th, get out and join the No Kings protest in your local area. The last one in October brought out 7 million people, and that was before the chaos and murders in Minneapolis. It would be terrific to see that number multiplied to 50 million. Gemini. With Mercury retro until the 20th, miscommunication flourishes, so check everything you do thoroughly. On the 3rd, the lunar eclipse in Virgo occurs in your 4th house. These eclipses tend to be heightened emotionally, and in this area of your chart, home and family, emotions can run high. Something in your home life may be ending. Maybe an adult child is moving out to take a new job, or your partner is called away from work for an extended period of time. Take time out to relax. Jupiter, which sextiles the eclipse degree, recommends it. On the 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus in Taurus. This aspect benefits you professionally. You're able to use an idea that comes to you in an unusual way, in a dream, for instance, or during a meditation. A female colleague, boss, or client is fully supportive. The trine on the 5th is between the Sun in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. This aspect enhances your income, Gemini, perhaps through a new assignment or responsibility. Jupiter will remain in your income area, expanding until it enters Leo on June 29th. The 9th brings a sextile between the Sun in Pisces and Pluto in Aquarius. In a non-retro month, this would result in additional money in your pocket through royalties, credit, mortgages, or insurance. You may still do that, but the results are likely to be delayed until after the 20th, when Mercury turns direct. Or there may be some sort of snafu in this area that will seize your attention. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th occurs in your career area, and Uranus and Taurus sextiles it. If Mercury were behaving, this new moon would bring about new professional opportunities, a raise or promotion, a new job or idea, or career. You get the idea. But thanks to Mercury, these opportunities may not surface until after the 20th, and if they do, be wary. Then we come to the 20th, when Mercury turns direct in Pisces. Go celebrate. The 21st features a trine between Mars in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. You're hyped about something in your career and leap on it with enthusiasm. As a result, it pays off financially. The 28th features another No Kings protest across the country. The one in October had 7 million people came out for it. And that was before the chaos, cruelty, and murders in Minneapolis by ICE. So find one in your area, and let's make this protest 50 million. Cancer. Keep in mind that until March 20th, Mercury is retro in Pisces in your 9th house. That means miscommunication proliferates in areas like foreign travel, the judicial system, higher education, and publishing. But before then, on the 3rd, there's a lunar eclipse in Virgo in your 3rd house. These eclipses tend to be emotional, sometimes dramatic, and often synchronistic. Something with a neighbor or sibling with a communication project is nearing completion. Don't freak out about it. These events, whatever the specifics, are nudging you in a new direction. On the 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus and Taurus. Your network or brand enjoys a sudden recognition that boosts your visibility. It also fits in with your belief system, perhaps because you visualized for this. But keep in mind, Mercury is misbehaving, so there may be snafus. The trine on the 5th is between the Sun in Pisces and Jupiter in your sign. Jupiter continues to expand your personal life until June 29th, when it enters Leo. For this aspect, though, in spite of Mercury retro, you're ready to head overseas on a quest or to law school, or, well, there's a lot to pick from. Your worldview right now is happy. The 9th brings a sextile between Venus in Aries and Pluto in Aquarius. Something you take on in your career pays off financially, or it should. But thanks to the Mercury retro, there may be delays or glitches. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th, it's unfair that it happens when Mercury is acting up. It may delay the new opportunities. This moon is sextile to Uranus, so any opportunities that appear surprise you, but research whatever it is to make sure it isn't a scam. Don't sign any contracts until after the 20th, when Mercury turns direct. On the 21st, Mars in Pisces trines Jupiter in your sign. You may be infused with energy that feels almost overpowering. Instead of avoiding it, use it. Mercury is now direct. The 28th features another No Kings protest across the country. This one, the one in October, had 7 million people who came out. And that was before the chaos, cruelty, and murders in Minneapolis by ICE. So find one in your area, and let's make this protest 50 million. Leo, Mercury is retrograde in Pisces on your financial axis until March 20th. Be sure to check bank and credit card statements for purchases you didn't make. On the 3rd, there's a lunar eclipse in Virgo in your second house of income. These eclipses are often highly charged emotionally and indicate that something is drawing to completion. For you, this may be a source of income that's ending, but don't panic. One door shuts, another one opens. The 4th brings a sextile between Venus and Pisces and Uranus and Taurus. If Mercury were in retrograde, this would signal a raise or promotion in your professional life that comes as something of a pleasant surprise. It may still happen, but not until after the 20th. The trine on the 5th between the Sun and Pisces and Jupiter and Cancer could result in a paid gig behind the scenes. But once again, the Mercury retrograde may screw things up. If an opportunity surfaces, make sure again that it's legit. Scams are flourishing online. Finally, on March 9th, another fire sign is involved in an aspect. Venus in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. Looks like a good day for you and your business or personal partner. You may be planning a trip overseas, but if so, don't buy tickets until after the 20th. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th falls, unfortunately, during this Mercury retro. The new opportunities that usually accompany these new moons may not show up until after the 20th. It's sextile to Uranus and Taurus in your 10th house of career, which means that with whatever surfaces is probably a surprise. Possibilities: new income, a break in insurance, credit cards, paranormal experiences. March 20th, yay, Mercury finally turns direct in Pisces. On the 21st, Mars in Pisces trines Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter continues to expand everything that happens behind the scenes until June 29th, when it enters your sign, Leo. Your unconscious is part of this expansion, and it may be nudging you in new directions. On the 28th, join the next No Kings protest in your area. Let's make this one 50 million. Virgo, Mercury, the planet that rules your sign and Gemini, is retrograde in Pisces until the 20th. This may delay some of the possibilities that come with the lunar eclipse in your sign on March 3rd and the new moon in Pisces on the 18th. But for right now, let's take a look at this lunar eclipse. It's conjunct a part of fortune, which helps to mitigate some of the miscommunication that may occur in your 7th house of partnerships. These eclipses, particularly when they're in your sun sign, tend to be highly charged emotionally. If a professional or personal relationship is changing or drawing to a close, don't freak out about it. The change is in your best interest. On the 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus and Taurus. A creative project that comes your way, possibly from a woman, takes you by surprise. However, with Mercury retro, be sure to be clear about the specifics: time frame, pay, and the minutiae. The trine on the 5th is between the Sun and Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. This one benefits your network or brand. It's a perfect day to touch base with your network, an email, or better yet, a newsletter about your goals for the network for the new year. On the 9th, Venus in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. If Mercury were behaving, this aspect could bring about a financial gain of some kind to royalties, insurance, or credit. The sextile may still bring that, but probably not until after Mercury turns direct on the 20th. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th, sextile to Uranus and Taurus, should bring new opportunities in partnership, personal or professional. But with the retro, the opportunities may not surface until after the 20th. Or if they do, be sure to check them out thoroughly. If they seem like scam, they probably are. The sextile Uranus usually indicates something unexpected. Finally, on the 20th, Mercury turns direct in Pisces. Go celebrate. Now your life can return to semi-normalcy. The trine on the 21st is between Mars in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter will continue to expand your ability to achieve your dream until June 29th when it enters Leo. This trine drives you forward energetically to set those dreams in motion. On the 28th, there's another No Kings protest. Find one in your local community. Make this one 50 million strong. Libra. Until the 20th, Mercury is still retrograde in Pisces in your 6th house, which impacts the various aspects this month. Let's take a look at the lunar eclipse in Virgo on the 3rd. This one takes place in your 12th house, and that's where you'll experience the emotional tumult. Something you're doing behind the scenes, a gig, a relationship, may be drawing to a close. Try not to fret about it. One door shuts, another opens, and this one is beneficial to you. On the 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus and Taurus. Something you've taken on in your daily work is likely to bring in additional income, and you won't expect it. But thanks to Mercury's retro, it may be delayed until after the 20th. The trine on the 5th between the Sun in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer should be helpful to your career. Jupiter will be expanding your professional life until June 29th when it enters Leo, so this trine is facilitating that energy. On the 9th, Venus in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. Your professional or personal partner is helpful with a creative endeavor. It's somewhat visionary, this endeavor, and your partner adds new energy and ideas to it. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th is sextile to Uranus and Taurus. Usually, new moons bring new opportunities, and this Pisces moon will still do that, but the opportunities may not surface until after the 20th. Possibilities: a new job, a raise, a promotion, a new exciting assignment. However, with Mercury still misbehaving, be sure to do your research to make sure these opportunities aren't scams. Finally, on the 20th, Mercury turns direct in Pisces. Go celebrate. The 21st brings a trine between Mars in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. Psychic energy, intuitive energy, and it's all directed towards your career and profession. On the 28th, no king protests are planned. The last one in October was attended by more than 7 million people. But now there are more than a year into Trump's cruel and inhumane administration. Let's get that number to 50 million. Scorpio. Until March 20th, Mercury remains retrograde in Pisces in your 5th house. This may mess up your creative endeavors and communication with your kids and maybe a romantic partner as well. But before then, let's look at the lunar eclipse in Virgo on the 3rd. It occurs in your 11th house, so there may be some powerful emotions concerning your network, your brand, or something you really want to achieve. Something in this area may be drawing to a close, but don't fret about it. Other doors will open. On the 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus and Taurus. A partner, personal or professional, is surprisingly helpful with a creative endeavor. A new slant, a new audience, or a new romantic partner unexpectedly heads into your life. The trine on the 5th is between the Sun in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. This aspect expands your creativity, so dive in, Scorpio. It also expands your worldview and spirituality, but keep in mind that Mercury is retrograde, so you and your muse may miscommunicate. Try to keep things simple. The new moon on March 18th is in Pisces in your 5th house. New opportunities should surface in creativity, romance, what you do for fun and pleasure. But thanks to the Mercury retrograde, these opportunities may be delayed until after the 20th. If they do surface, though, scrutinize them to make sure they aren't scams. Finally, on the 20th, Mercury turns direct. Go celebrate. The 21st brings a trine between Mars in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. Your intuition may be nudging you to take a trip overseas. Choose a spot that intrigues you. Make it happen, Scorpio. On the 28th, no king protests are planned. The last one in October was attended by more than 7 million people. But now we're more than a year into Trump's cruel and inhumane administration. So let's get that number to 50 million. Sagittarius. Mercury is retrograded till the 20th, and by now you know what that means. Follow the rule of the 3 R's: review, reconsider, and revise. It'll help you navigate this period more smoothly. On the 3rd, The lunar eclipse in Virgo occurs in your 10th house of career and profession. It may be an emotional time as something in this area is drawing to a close. It's especially challenging with Mercury retro in your 4th house, home, family, and your personal environment. The thing to remember is that the event is simply part of a cycle. When one door closes, another opens. On the 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus and Taurus. It looks as if a creative project you become involved in has become part of your daily work routine. A woman, client, employer, sister, daughter, wife, supports it. The trine on the 5th is between the Sun in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is busy expanding your financial stuff through credit, insurance, royalties. It's also expanding your psychic experiences and intuition. This will hold true until June 29th when Jupiter enters Leo. The trine facilitates the energy exchange between your 4th and 8th houses, so you have plenty of support from your family. On the 9th, Venus in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. This one boosts your creativity considerably. Even with Mercury's shenanigans, you should benefit from this one. Just be sure to communicate clearly and take nothing for granted. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th should bring new opportunities into your 4th house, family, home, personal environment. If they surface before the 20th, when Mercury turns direct, research them, scrutinize them, make sure they're legit. Possibilities. You find a buyer or renter for your home. You get a break on homeowner's insurance. One of your adult kids announces a pregnancy. On March 20th, Mercury turns direct in Pisces. Now your life moves forward again without glitches, computer mishaps, and miscommunications. On the 21st, Mars in Pisces trines Jupiter in Cancer. It looks as if you're paid for a creative endeavor. Jupiter will be on your financial axis until June 29th when it enters Leo. On the 28th, the No Kings protests are planned. The last one in October was attended by more than 7 million people. But now that they're more than a year into Trump's cruel and inhuman administration, let's get that number to 50 million. Capricorn, keep in mind that Mercury is retrograde in Pisces until the 20th, and that puts a damper on the various aspects that appear this month. On the 3rd, there's a lunar eclipse in fellow Earth sign Virgo in your 9th house. This area governs your worldview, spirituality, higher education, the law of publishing, and foreign travel, cultures, and people. Lunar eclipses tend to trigger us emotionally, so buckle up, Capricorn. If something in one of these areas is ending, it's in your best interest. When one door closes, another opens. On the 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus and Taurus. Today, you're communicating about a creative endeavor with a female client, employer, boss, or colleague. Miscommunication may come into play thanks to the Mercury retro, so don't take anything for granted. The trine on the 5th is between the Sun in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. It looks as if a personal or professional partner is totally on board with the communication project in which you're involved. If you're single, this trine could indicate that you meet a potential romantic partner or a professional partner who bolsters and supports your endeavors. On the 9th, Venus in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. Something you're doing in or to your home may result in money. If your house is on the market and you receive an offer, don't close until after the 20th to make sure the closing proceeds smoothly. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th occurs in your 3rd house. New opportunities surface with this new moon, but with Mercury misbehaving, they may not appear until after the 20th. If they do, make sure they aren't scams. Possibilities include a communication project, plans to move to a new neighborhood, one of your kids changes schools. Finally, on March 20th, Mercury turns direct in Pisces. Go celebrate. On the 21st, Mars in Pisces trines Jupiter in Cancer. You and your partner have a productive heart-to-heart conversation about your relationship. You may decide to move in together or tie the knot. On the 28th, No King protests are planned. The last one in October was attended by more than 7 million people. But now that we're more than a year into Trump's cruel and inhumane administration, let's get that number to 50 million. Aquarius, keep in mind until March 20th, Mercury in Pisces is retrograde in your 2nd house of income. Ouch. Be sure to check on your finances throughout the retrograde. Deposits, withdrawals, anything that's pending. On the 3rd, the lunar eclipse in Virgo occurs in your 8th house. Shared resources, credit, insurance, royalties, mortgages, and the paranormal. If you have a psychic experience during this eclipse, like seeing the spirit of a deceased loved one, experiencing telepathy or precognition. It will trigger you emotionally. In fact, just about anything you experience during this eclipse, particularly if it involves the end of a source of money, will trigger your emotions. However, be assured that as one door shuts, another opens. The sextile on March 4th is between Venus in Pisces and Uranus in Taurus. If you're working from home, you have more immediate access to a boss or client who is paying you well for the job you're doing. There may be an element of positive surprise with this one. The 5th brings a beautiful trine between the Sun in Pisces and Jupiter in Cancer. Something you've taken on in your daily work routine, a new task, project, or responsibility, should produce income. However, thanks to Mercury's antics, the payment may be delayed or there may be some miscommunication. Stay on top of things to mitigate misunderstandings. The sextile on March 9th between Venus in Aries and Pluto in your sign, Aquarius, accentuates your communication abilities and also your visionary nature. If you're involved in a creative endeavor, bring your visionary abilities into the project. The new moon in Pisces on March 18th is sextile to Uranus and Taurus. New moons bring new opportunities, but thanks to the retrograde, they may be delayed until after the 20th. Possibilities: new sources of income that enable you to upgrade your home, or make it possible to even move if that's something you've been entertaining. If something does surface that seems to be too good to be true, it probably is. Research to make sure it isn't a scam. Mercury finally turns direct on the 20th. On the 21st, Mars in Pisces trines Jupiter in Cancer. This one brings heightened energy to your daily work, which continues to expand until June 29th, when Jupiter enters Leo. On the 28th, no king protests are planned. The last one in October was attended by more than 7 million people. But now that we're more than a year into Trump's cruel and inhumane administration, let's get that number to 50 million. Pisces. Keep in mind, Pisces, that Mercury is retro in your sign until the 20th, and that impacts everything. The lunar eclipse in Virgo on March 3rd occurs in your 7th house of partnerships. These eclipses often bring completion in some area of your life, so today is likely to be emotional. It may be that a professional relationship is ending because you or the person are moving, or because the person has done everything possible for you in his or her expertise. If the completion involves a personal partnership, the day will be even more emotional, but the ending is in your best interest. On the 4th, Venus in Pisces sextiles Uranus and Taurus. This aspect greatly facilitates communication with the romantic partner. Some of what's discussed comes as a pleasant surprise. The trine on the 5th is between the Sun in your sign and Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter will continue expanding your creative options until June 29th, when it enters Leo, so take advantage of it. This trine deepens your intuition and enables you to dive into any creative endeavor in which you're involved. On the 9th, Venus in Aries sextiles Pluto in Aquarius. It looks as if a gig in which you're involved behind the scenes results in a good paycheck. Pluto will be in Aquarius for a long haul until 2043, 2044, and will be impacting everything you do behind the scenes. The new moon in Pisces on the 18th should bring new opportunities into your personal life that delight you. But with Mercury retro in your sign until the 20th, these opportunities may be delayed or may not be what they appear to be. Just do your research to make sure that they're legitimate. Possibilities: when the new moon is in your sign, just about anything is possible in terms of new opportunities. New job, new romantic interest, marriage, pregnancy, a trip, new friends. You get the idea, right? On the 20th, Mercury turns direct in your sign, Pisces, and that's definitely cause for celebration. The trine on the 21st is between Mars in your sign and Jupiter in Cancer. This one is about your creativity and how Jupiter will continue to expand it until June 29th when it enters Leo. With Mars in your sign in this mix, your intuition is humming along at an all-time high. Use it. On the 28th, no king protests are planned. The last one in October was attended by more than 7 million people, but now that we're more than a year into Trump's cruel and inhumane administration, let's get that number to 50 million.
Thanks for joining the Mystical Underground. Visit www.themysticalunderground.com for the latest blog post and book info. Subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Listen to the podcast at podcast.themysticalunderground.com. Follow Trish and Rob on Instagram at Trish and Rob MacGregor. Follow us on Twitter at The Mystic Cast. Send email to podcast@themysticalunderground.com. And until next week, thank you for listening and stay mystical.
Yeah.